Hello, everyone. So glad you're here to join me on this mm, foggy, cloudy, not sunny day, but it's Santa Barbara and we love it. And we're glad you're here. So, welcome. Welcome. And welcome to the Advancement Center. And also, another welcome to the world of magic and miracles. Yeah, it's great to be alive, and it's great to just have your eyes open to the beauty and the joy and the happiness of each other. And I hope this infant 2026 has been good for you. And I'm wishing you the very best of Happy New Year's to you. That sounds like a sign off, but it's just a sign on. So, most people who reach my age, there is usually a written whatever and called memoirs. You know what? I've been too busy living and enjoying life to take the time to sit down and write. So I had written here, most people reach my age. There was usually some, I can't even read my own writing, written memoir. And I said, I have been so busy living and experiencing magic and miracles, I have no time or inclination to sit and recollect the past. I do recollect moments of magic and miracles that I can revisit anytime. Just a moment ago, as I was penning these words, a scene came to me that was absolutely thrilling. It happened 69 years ago. And it's coming into focus for the first time. And I can tell you that I spent an entire afternoon with Robert Frost, the poet. We were at the Breadloaf Writers Conference in Middlebury, Vermont, I guess. And the whole afternoon, it was like being with my absolute best friend. And I get the feeling right now, just by thinking about it. And I haven't thought about it for about 69 years. And I have 2 autographed volumes of The Road Less Traveled by Robert Frost. I don't know where they are, somewhere back east in someone's library. I hope they're enjoying it. So, a little bit more. As a child, my mother's 3 kid brothers adored me. I was their little doll, yeah. Seymour called me his first wife, and Milton opened my world to his backstage at NBC. Milton was the first chair violist under Toscanini and Then Milton was the conductor of the WNBC Symphony. We lived in Brooklyn, and that was an hour subway ride from Kings Highway to NBC. We never missed a concert. So at the ripe old age of, I don't know, 8, maybe 9, I was sitting there in the front row. When Toscanini was conducting, I could look up right there, and he was conducting. It was magical. Now, Milton was delighted to show me off to his colleagues. I looked like Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah. And remember her in National Velvet? That was my favorite movie, of course. Now, Seymour took me to my first movie, Mrs. Miniver. And then we went to a Chinese restaurant and we ordered dinner for 3. I'll never forget that. So here you go. My memoir is happening right now. But it's so much more fun to share it with you than to just sit at a desk and write words. Another day I remember so clearly, it's amazing. One day Milton took me backstage at Carnegie Hall, and I was thrilled to see at the back wall Arthur Rubinstein practicing scales at lightning speed. If you don't know Arthur Rubinstein, you've got a treat in store for you. Look for his music. Now, Seymour, who called me his first wife, was stationed in Louisville, Kentucky during World War II. His commanding officer never sent Seymour overseas. And to this he said, if Cadams leaves, who will I talk to? And I think that might have saved Seymour's life. These are all moments that are indelible. They don't need to be written down. I am just so happy to be here and telling you some of the good stuff. Now, my grandmother, Caroline Cadams, the mother of these 3 amazing men, by the way, Herman was a concert pianist, and he had his debut, yes, in Carnegie Hall. Now, my grandmother could fill 3 movies. She excelled at everything. Yeah. I remember I had to sit for hours watching her paint the Madonna and Child. She was amazing. She studied the old masters. She mixed her own paints the way they did. And her paintings are, I hope, in places that are being appreciated because they're amazing. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, by the way, she made me sit for hours watching her paint. She never put a paintbrush in my hand. I had to wait decades before I picked up pastels. And now I love painting with pastels. Grandma Carrie was the first, just to tell you a little bit of the stock I come from, Grandma Carrie was the first woman to drive a car in Brooklyn. And Grandpa Harry put his foot down when she wanted flying lessons. That was 90 years ago. And it's as vivid as the people who called her grandma. So that's pretty amazing. And a little bit about me. In 1953, I had just graduated high school, and we were invited, and I was included, even though I had just graduated, on a concert tour of Europe to represent the voice of American youth. Well, believe it or not, we went over on the MV Georgic, a huge boat. We were on level D, and I remember we had a big column in the middle of this tiny little place where 4 of us slept, and we were convinced that that's where they pulled the anchor from because it made so much noise. But it was an amazing experience. Did I say we visited 10 countries in 8 weeks? We sang at the drop of a hat. If people stopped at a square, we were singing. And we also stayed in people's homes. And I met my Dutch mother. But that's a wonderful story for another time. And if I forget, remind me, Elizabeth Fauna was my Dutch mother, who was precious to me. Yeah. Until I got a very formal looking envelope with gray printing telling me that she had left this planet. But she was remarkable. She and her husband had a cheese boat, and they would smuggle Jewish people under the false floorboards and get them to safety. As a matter of fact, in, I believe, Tel Aviv, they have a museum, Yad Vashem, and they're honored there. So that's a whole other full broadcast talking about my dear Elizabeth Fauna. Now, on January 13th, there's going to be a venerable birthday, mine, to the unbelievable number I can hardly believe of 90. 90. That's exciting. It's amazing. So my eyesight is no longer 100%, but my vision of the past is 2020. Yeah. I have here, entertainment is 24/7. Just by revisiting a momentous moment in gone by days. Now, of course, illuminating my entire life has been giving birth to my 3 children, David, Debbie, and Danny. And I'm going to just pluck out one memory to share with you that every time I visit, it gives me such a thrill. So I'll set the scene for you. Debbie is an architect major at Tulane University. And Danny has decided, he's the younger one, to go to Tulane also. And when I asked him, I said, why don't you strike out on your own and choose another school? He said, no, I want to go to Tulane. And then you'll find out the hidden reason why. I can't understand my own reason. Okay. So there you have it. Debbie is a senior in architects school. Danny is, I think, a freshman. And one day, I was sitting by myself in my home in Roslyn, Long Island, and I get a frantic phone call from Debbie. She said, Mom, I don't think I'm going to graduate. I said, what are you talking about? I said, you're an A student. She said, I don't think I'm going to make it. And left me hanging. The next call I made to Danny. And I said, Danny, this is why you went to Tulane. Your sister needs you. Be there for her because she has a project that has to be hanging by midnight, a certain date, in order for her to graduate. He said, okay, Mom. And he was on it. I was on it. And we worked together. I'll never forget it. It's why I'm a mother. So I said to Danny, I said, okay, you have to be Debbie's right hand. If she needs to do something, you provide it. You make everything she needs happen magically. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go buy a wearing blender because she has to be nourished. So do you. So I sent him money. He bought the blender. He got all the protein drinks. He got good food, good snacks, and he was at her elbow for everything she needed. And she probably snapped at him, but he didn't care. He was there, a soldier of love on a mission. And she had to do drawings and she had to do something over. And then she had to, I don't know what she had to do, but she had to have something hanging by midnight, a certain date. And long story short, it was about 10 o'clock. They finished the project and they drove to the place where it had to hang, and they checked their watches, and it was 5 minutes before midnight. And she graduated. But that's not the end of the story, because we were all there to celebrate her graduation. And Danny leaned over to me and he said, "Mom, turn around quietly. See those two girls in the back row? They didn't graduate." That hits me every time, because the love between my kids and adoring each other, supporting each other, and I just see them as a microcosm for the whole world, where everyone listens to one another, helps them, and that's love. I love that story. I will tell it over and over, and it bears retelling. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we are the human family. And when one of us is in need of help, there's another one there to help. So that's our family of man. I don't think I have anything else here other than to say it's always a joy to be with you. And I'm not writing my memoirs, but each time we get together, I can share another experience that could have been written, but I'd much rather tell you. Now, this is the time when I usually share my latest pastel, but this being holidays, we didn't have a class. So I went into the annals and I just picked up one and I came out with this. And I happen to love this. And I painted this pastel February 15th, 2024. And the best part of it is I recognized the scene because I walked over that bridge. I remember it. It's in Florence, Italy, and they have stalls selling items, art, and souvenirs. So I never want to leave you without some work of art. And before I leave you, I never want to leave you without first wishing you a perfect life with perfect health and an amazing future. Thank you so much for visiting with me today. See you next time. I am Barbara.